Welcome into I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentry. This is our NFL Week 16 reaction show. We're down to it, man. 2 more games left in this NFL regular season. We turn our attention to the playoffs. I mean, it's once you get going, it just feels like a runaway train because I can't believe we're already here.
I know we only have like 8 or 9 NFL shows left between these ones, the pick shows, and then obviously we'll be in the playoffs. And I'm probably not accounting for the week off between the AFC and NFC title games and the Super Bowl. So we'll have plenty of stuff here. But you kind of blinked and it was over, brother.
Crazy. And so we got a bunch to get to. These are going to be good matchups. We got a bunch of playoff stuff we want to talk to. And how about the top pick that is just a complete clown show, which is awesome to watch. But we got to rant about something. So let's get into it without further ado.
Just say it.
Tyson, I'm watching nightmare scenarios that was coming to my mind here. And it's just another missed playoffs for the Colts. The Arizona Cardinals have been eliminated. This was supposed to be a year that they could potentially compete in the division. The Jacksonville Jaguars are a complete dumpster fire. And how about the 49ers missing the playoffs? And I'm thinking about this, and it's all for different reasons. It all signals stuff that, I think some franchises kind of get wrong. That's a reason why they're not great all the time. And, the 49ers are, have the high ends, but they got some roller coaster things. And I think it can get bad from here on out. But the Colts, you put your eggs all in these quarterback baskets, and they've done it every single freaking year. Like, okay, it's Matt Ryan. No, it's Carson Wentz. No, it's Phillip Rivers. Oh, it's Joe Flacco. He's going to save us. Oh, wait. Oh, no, it's Anthony Richardson. We got to go all in. And it's just like a perpetual cycle of them not addressing what actually matters. It's a poor defense. It's a coaching staff that seems a little bit over their heads. And it's, once again, in a division that's super gettable. I mean, the Texans took a step back when you look at their personnel. I know they've won games, but this could have been an opportunity for the Colts to win, yet they missed the playoffs. For the Cardinals, this is a second-year head coach, Jonathan Gannon. Kyler Murray is supposed to take the step forward. You get your guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. That did not work out like anybody expected. And you missed the playoffs in this division with the 49ers looking that way, with the Rams banged up and the Seahawks only ascending, going up, you would think, once they get a better quarterback. Oh, boy, that is nerve-wracking. Jags, I don't have to go into them again. It's just a bad operation. It's bad front office. And then the 49ers, Tyson, they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy $60 million. All the luxuries, all the Lamborghinis they've had in the garage.
Toyotas.
They're turning into Toyotas and Mazdas, man. So if you're looking at this, the window's closed for the Niners. They're going to have to figure that out. And I'm not quite sure if it's ever going to get open for the Cardinals. And if the Colts don't figure something out, man, it's going to be nerve-wracking there.
Yeah, the window has been closed for the Cardinals since like 1907 or whenever the franchise actually officially. And by the way, this is Sam Ehlinger eraser to not include him on the list of famed Colts quarterbacks from the last couple of years. But it has been a nightmare, and some of those are a little different. Super Bowl hangovers obviously is a real thing, but the Colts, it's disappointing. But that kind of leads me into my Just Say It, which is narrative matters. And this was something I was thinking about. I watched the entirety of the Panthers and Cardinals game, and it was just really funny to me to sit there and think like, wow, Kyler Murray is doing the same Kyler Murray things. He lied to us. He told us, oh, I'm looking for Trey McBride, all this stuff. He's wide open. He's forcing the ball into double coverage, or, when Marvin Harrison Jr. is open, he's not getting the football. But Kyler Murray was beloved before he came into the NFL because he's turning on baseball, and look at this. And he won the Heisman Trophy at Oklahoma. And in that same game was another undersized quarterback who also went number one, who everyone decided after 1 year was just done. And he was never going to be good for different reasons, really, than what we thought about Kyler Murray. But Bryce Young, outside of Jaden Daniels, was probably the best quarterback in week 16, or had one of the best quarterback performances of the week. And you can even go to another one. I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy that it took a long time for conversations to start happening about this guy. And we're still looking around like, well, what else does he need to do? The team stinks, and he won the playoff game and all of this stuff. When you decide before a guy's ever taken a snap how good they're going to be, they can get 5 years or 6 years, or they can get these mega contract extensions without ever having shown us anything. And when you decide a guy's a bust, it's really hard to come back from that. If Bryce Young was having a CJ Stroud second season, then I think people would be over the moon right now with Bryce, and we're a little bit upset at CJ. But all of this stuff is kind of to my point here, we're going to get into some of this draft talk. Leave the kids alone. Let them be kids.
And we talked about it last week that it used to be you get 3 years. That was the barometer. You get 3 years to prove yourself. You kind of get a sit for one, then 3 years to perform. That is completely gone now in the NFL across the board. And so, like you said, the Bryce Young thing, he got benched, and Dave Canales like, listen, we're just going to give you a little time off. Let's sit back. Let's watch how Andy Dalton prepares, and I think that helped them.
We might owe Dave Canales a little bit of an apology because we were on his head at the start of the season, but now this is getting to be an impressive resume if this Bryce Young, resurgence isn't a flash in the pan. He's going to have his hands in the Baker deal. He's going to have his hands in Bryce Young and a couple of others that he seems to have. Like, the dude knows what's up. He seems like he's not in over his head for this head coaching job.
Yeah, and I'll apologize. I don't care. Like, we come on here, we have our opinions, and sometimes we're wrong, and that's what we have to just say it. Sometimes we got to eat crow. And I think right now it's trending, the Canales thing in Carolina. It looks like it's going to work. Now, we'll see. The defense has to get better, and they need some
Darnold.
Look, but yeah, I think you're right. All right, let's turn our attention. Let's get into another little thing we like to do here, the armchair quarterback.
Armchair quarterback.
And so one guy who got an opportunity last week was Michael Penix. And now the Atlanta Falcons, after winning and the Bucs losing, they controlled their own destiny. If they went out, they are going to win the division. They're going to be making the playoff. And it's going to be, if they went out, because the rookie comes in and takes over. So, Tyson, and you and I kind of want to approach this from, do we think that can happen for Penix? Like, is he the guy to lead him to that?
He certainly could be. He, like we talked about last week, kind of an advantageous deal to come in and only really have to play the worst team in the league to get it started. And it's nice when the defense scores touchdowns for you. But then they have a game against the Commanders, the Red Hot Commanders, who have to come back against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. Jaden Daniels looked fantastic again. Go ahead and ship him the Rookie of the Year trophy right now. And then they end with the Panthers. Two teams that, could give the Falcons trouble, but the fact that they're now in the driver's seat in the NFC South, you have to be pinching yourself if you're Raheem Morris, because they felt like they gave this thing away. And again, not to go back to the narrative thing, but you can look at the Penix debut one of two ways. They won by 28 points, or that he threw an interception on the goal line. It wasn't his fault, but you can spin it that way. I thought he looked fine. He looked, he missed some throws, and this is a guy that he wants to take shots, and that's what he was doing at times. But they found themselves behind Bijan Robinson, and that is the engine that drives this offense. And it took long enough.
Yeah, seriously, what is going on here? And even with Art Smith, he's the running guy, and freaking he wouldn't even give it to him. So yeah, the offense is better because Bijan Robinson touches the ball. What do you know? So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. I do think the Falcons, and this is gonna be tough against the Commanders, because I think the Bucs certainly have a more favorable schedule coming down the stretch. But Tyson, we did see some cracks in that defense, or that team, for the Bucs, especially on the offensive side, where, Herbstreit, or I'm sorry, who was it? It was Tirico
and Collinsworth.
And Collinsworth were like, yeah, well, he'll give the ball away on the turnovers a little bit, but he throws a few. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you can't be giving those turnovers and missing throws, and that's what happened against the Cowboys. Now, it wasn't all Baker's fault, but he missed some throws that you'd like to have back. I think if he makes them, they probably win the game based on how the score turned out, how the game situation flowed. But that was a bad loss for the Bucs. And if you're coming down the stretch there, this is gettable now because it's not all fixed. It's all kumbaya. We know, the Bucs are limited. We said that coming into the season, and just because Mike Evans is a freak and he's going to have another Hall of Fame resume,
give him the ball.
Yeah, especially for me, for my bet. My goodness. But I don't know. I think they can do it. Now, let's make a prediction here. Do you think the Falcons win this division?
No, I don't. I think that they're going to lose to the Commanders on Sunday, and the Bucs will regain control in this thing. But I would be lying if I said I didn't want it to happen. I think that this would be an awesome story for the NFL. It would be an awesome story to follow throughout the offseason. We're already getting, Kirk Cousins is getting cut, April 1st or whatever the deadline that they've given is. And it's just, if he can make the playoffs, man, this whole thing becomes a lot smoother for Terry Fontenot and the boys.
I think the Falcons win this division. Bijan Robinson goes crazy against the Commanders. We know Saquon Barkley probably would have broken the record. I'm just going to say that just because it's funny to say. 100 yards in the first quarter. I think the Falcons step up. I think the Commanders are going to have a little hangover. Falcons win this one. It's going to come down to the last game of the season. Michael Penix is the hero. We're going to have a lot of juicy content to talk about because of it with Kirk Cousins. It's going to be great for us.
Yeah, that's my boy too. Team Penix.
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes we want to talk about. The NFL top pick, hot potato. And this, we're talking about it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's kind of funny. Man, the Vegas Raiders screwed themselves. They could have the number one pick if they didn't win this game. And then I looked at the draft order. I'm like, whoa, wait. I thought they dropped to like second or third. They're freaking sixth. The Giants are in first place right now. New England is second. Jacksonville third. Tennessee fourth. Cleveland fifth. And then Las Vegas is sixth. Only the Giants have fewer wins to the 2-13 record. The Vegas Raiders all of a sudden have the worst tiebreaker of the 3-12 teams when you look at the NFL draft order. So what a disaster. What do you take away from this? What are you eyeing here? Let's just start there.
Well, first of all, I think it's a decent year for some of these teams to have their quarterback situation at least sorted, if not in the direction they want to go. In the New England Patriots, they just took Drake May. He looks pretty good for somebody in a dumpster fire right now. Jacksonville Jaguars, the aforementioned Trevor Lawrence is not going anywhere. And then you get to Tennessee at 4. But Brad, the albatross or the elephant in the room here, what the hell are the Browns going to do if this thing holds and they get a top 5 draft pick? We're already getting Myles Garrett on the trade block rumors. It's December, people. Let's calm down a little bit with some of these live odds. I mean, come on. They can't even make trades for a couple more months. But this is hilarious. And also, Mark Davis is in the locker room dancing with the team. I love the fact that he's happy that they won the game. Brother, you have to understand the situation that you just found yourself in. This is they did the same thing a year ago, though. So maybe this is just kind of Antonio Pierce special. I'm going to win 2 games at the end of the year. You're not going to be able to cut me. We got momentum, baby.
We went through the head coaches thing. We'll do it after the season. Well, maybe we don't have time because these guys get fired so fast now. But let's go through this. Giants will select the quarterback.
Yep.
New England will not. Jacksonville will not. I think Tennessee is going to. So Callahan's going to want his guy. Now, that's going to screw the Raiders at 6, but I think Cleveland doesn't take it. I don't think they take a quarterback. I don't think they can. It's crazy, but I don't think they're going to do it. Now, if it's another bad year, next year is the draft year, Tyson, I think that's when you can feasibly take a quarterback, but I think this year you can't do it. Vegas at 6 is where it gets concerning because everybody's talking about Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Well, if Tennessee's sitting there at 4, Vegas is going to want to trade up. They don't really like giving up assets, man. And we know Telesco, not quite his cup of tea to go up in a draft and do that. So this to me screams 3 quarterbacks in the top 6, at least as we look now.
Yeah, and it's funny to look at the strength of schedule. Like some of these teams, they don't deserve to be picking this. The Giants actually played teams above 500 all year long. Let them live. But when you're looking at the Pats, they got a 460 strength of schedule win percentage against. It's been a rough year for some of these guys. And Brad, just as an aside, the Bears sit at 9. Do you think they'll take another receiver?
Oh boy. No, I don't. You got to get a lineman, but you know what the funny thing is, Tyson? Keenan Allen's getting a little bit older. I know he just had an insane game, but it's like, well, what happens when he ages out? Do we take another guy?
Ryan Poles has dodged so much blame over this entire thing. It's pretty funny.
I can't wait to get into their offseason outlook. That's going to be a fun one. They've lost 9 in a row. I mean, only the Giants have lost more. The Giants, Tyson, once sat it with the 2-3 record.
Mm-hmm. They were 2-3.
If Dable doesn't get fired,
Malik Neighbors was on pace
that.
to have 250 targets on the season. Tyrone Tracy was just kind of finding his footing. It was a different time. It was exciting. Brian Daboll has lost 45 pounds this season, I think, it's at least from what it looks like, and it's all stress. I mean, this dude has to be – he's already bald, but, like, if he could pull out his hair, he would be.
Who needs Ozempic when you can just be the head coach of the New York Giants?
Exactly.
We did this a little bit a week ago, and then we'll get into some previews for this week. I think you can't take anybody but a quarterback now. I don't see the Giants winning a game, maybe against the Eagles in week 18, depending. But I think at this point, I know the Giants have just an atrocious offensive line situation. I think they're going to address it through free agency or a trade. They're going to take a quarterback. They have to. So Tyson was kind of floating some ideas out there who to take. Abdul Carter, maybe a long shot. I said an offensive lineman. I don't think we're going to get that here. Now, I don't think anybody's going to trade it for a non-quarterback, so that's where you're kind of stuck. Whether it's Shedeur Sanders or not is a different story.
Doesn't it feel very Vegas Raiders to pay Daniel Jones a little bit too much money and then do this whole thing again?
I was going to say trade for Kirk Cousins because that would be hilarious.
Walking your draft, think of your draft goes to Vegas. You can't let Kirk go out in Vegas, dude. He's going to be at the whatever share residency shows for the next like 8 months.
All right. Well, we're going to have a ton to discuss here. And again, this is all hypothetical stuff as we're eyeing it. It's just how it is right now. We don't know how it's going to shake out. So this could change, but this is going to be a very, very interesting draft how it's shaking up right now. So we'll do a little bit more of a deeper dive. But let's start looking ahead. We got a weird schedule on the NFL this week. It's causing us to kind of look at some things a little bit differently. But let's preview some of the biggest games of the week right now.
Marquee matchups.
So the first one we're going to start with is on Christmas, Chiefs versus Steelers. Chiefs continue to win. They're about to lock up the number 1 overall seed. You know, if, barring like a collapse at the end of the year and the Bills winning out, that's going to happen. I think the Steelers are gettable or are winnable. This game is winnable for the Steelers. I fumble my words. George Pickens is expected to play. I think he is going to play. That is huge. On the flip side, Chiefs offensive line is going to have a hard time dealing with this pass rush. Like, it's just the reality here. Mahomes has been so good on third down, so good in late down situations, like second best of all time, I believe, in success rate in late down situations, which, of course, yeah, he's really good. But that becomes a lot harder when it's 3rd and 9 and when Mahomes has to run and scramble. And I think that's a situation you're looking at here. This defense for the Chiefs is starting to get a little bit better. Now, that's something that, surprise, Spagnuolo is starting to ramp up. But, Tyson, there are still flaws that I see. McDuffie's starting to pick off balls, but I don't know. I'm going to need to see him. This is going to be a test here against the Steelers, especially coming off there on a short week, coming off a game against the Texans. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, I think 3 weeks ago the NFL was over the moon juiced. This was one of the Christmas games they got. The Steelers dropped 2 in a row, and it feels like this one's kind of lost its luster. I feel like you laid this out pretty well. But one thing I do want to point out to people, there was a lot of Xavier Worthy this, Xavier Worthy that after the draft, and he's just fast and he's not going to be able to play. This dude has been eating the last couple of weeks, and I think that's pretty scary if you're in the AFC planning on playing the Chiefs here in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about this? We'll just flip the opponents because the Ravens face the Texans on Christmas, and this should be another good game. So how about the NFL? Let's just keep these guys on the short week, and we'll let them figure it out. I thought Ravens looked better against the Steelers. Again, no George Pickens, so the push the ball down the field aspect of the Steelers wasn't necessarily there. Then on the flip side, Texans, just a brutal loss from Tank Dell. I mean, he breaks his leg in the end zone, then he gets shot, then he dislocates his knee. Players are crying. Like, it was a tough scene.
Horrible luck. And then, he dislocates his knee and tears every ligament inside of it to end the season, which might end up shelving him for most, if not all, of next year, too. It's tough to watch for a guy who came in the league a little bit older. I think that was under the radar because most people didn't watch Houston in college and they hadn't heard of Tank Dell. So he takes over the scene, and now all of a sudden, he might end up as a pretty good what if, because this wide receiver core, if you remember before the season, we had 3 really good players. Now we're down to 1 here in Nico Collins, who's also missed a ton of time. This should be a fun game. Sounds like the Ravens not found their groove, but just were able to establish a run, really, and Derrick Henry got it rolling, and all of a sudden Baltimore is who they are. The only thing, if you're a Ravens fan, you're worried about all the penalties. These guys can't keep getting away. Like, they're committing a ton of penalties every week. And Brad, I don't know what the hell to make of these skill positions, because I love watching Isaiah Likely and Rashad Bateman score touchdowns, but I don't know if that's the most sustainable way for the Ravens to win games.
Lamar's doing his thing, though, man, and it's kind of an interesting MVP thing. I thought Josh Allen had better numbers than Lamar last year, at least, and it's just a complete inverse this year, right? It's like the Jokic and Embiid thing. It's like, well, Embiid won it this year, but he probably should have won it the year before, and then Jokic probably should have won it this year, and it's just a complete mess, and that's how it goes in voting stuff. But back home for the Texans will be interesting, right? Like, we know their offense is better. The Ravens defense has been susceptible to the pass, but how does it look without Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs? Like, we kind of went through that. John Mechie, is he going to be able to step up? Is it a Hutchinson thing? Like, we'll see. You're going to have to find some guys, man, because, CJ Stroud, he's going to have his security blanket, but he's already taken a step back this year. I know you're not supposed to say that, but he has, and you lose another guy's security blanket, Tank Dell. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Bobby Slowick, if you want a job, you have about a 3-week audition period because the previous 15 have been bad.
Let's move on to Packers Vikings. Just a massive, massive game for implications in the division, implications in the NFC playoffs and seeding in general. So this is going to be on Sunday. We got 3 Saturday games. We're not going to preview any of those. A couple of teams are already eliminated, and whatever. So we preview the games that we think are going to be the best. The Vikings continue to win, man. I know people are like, how are they just being so disrespected? It's just the metrics. It's hard to believe in, but yet they continue to do that. And Kevin O'Connell, we think, is a premier coach in this league. We talked about how great Sean McVay was last week. We kind of whispered Kevin O'Connell, and I don't think you can really be whispering anymore. Brian Flores continues to be great on the defensive side of the football. And Justin Jefferson with Jordan.
Good.
Now, this is huge. But Tyson, it's the voodoo late season magic with Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. Like, it just keeps happening. Jordan Love playing his best football. Josh Jacobs is ramping this up. I think them going inside into the dome makes this an intriguing matchup. So this for sure is one that you got to watch.
Yeah, and as we're recording right now, the Packers are in the middle of a 27-0 beatdown of the New Orleans Saints. The game's got like 5 minutes left, so I think we're pretty secure in saying that they're going to win here as well. This is going to be a battle of the Titans. Feels like the division championship is kind of outside of their control. Like the Minnesota Vikings can, steal this thing, but the Packers are on the outside looking in. This is the best division in football that I can remember. I know, all the AFC North teams are above 500, and this is crazy. We're talking about a possibility, of 3, 12, or 13-win teams from one division. This is nuts. Shout out to the Chicago Bears. Jordan Love's not turning the football over, which is a huge thing. Jeff Hafley, again, has his defense flying around, but there's just something about Minnesota. The TJ Hawkinson doesn't show up on the weeks that Justin Jefferson doesn't show up. Jordan Addison has 3 touchdowns. It is they're a team, brother.
They are. They're playing like it. They're feeling confident. And why would you not? I mean, Sam Darnold's playing really well. I know people are like, I can't really trust him. 3,776 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 picks. Just a really good season.
This is what Clay Helton died for this.
How about this one? Vikings trade J.J. McCarthy to the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't know how that whole thing's going to work out. I think it's more likely, first of all, over under $17.5 million that Sam Darnold made himself this season.
Over.
I think so too. I think he's going to cost a lot of money to sign, and that might end up deterring Minnesota because the Justin Jefferson contract is now on the books, and they've got some defensive guys that they got to pay. Greenard's had a heck of a season, but we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. JJ McCarthy, kind of the forgotten man of this quarterback class because he missed the whole year. And honestly, if it was going to be him and Penix, it was totally fine. 2 guys are out. Now it's just him.
And he got out because of injury, right? Tearing his meniscus. So that was huge. So it's not necessarily that he's riding the pine. I think there was a good chance that they may have just started him. We'll never know. But Darnold is making this game. I'll tell you what, if McCarthy sucks, boy, that is a locker room disaster. I'll tell you that much, especially if they move on from Darnold. So let's close out here. Falcons Commanders, you just mentioned Penix. We just talked about him. I said I think the Falcons win this game. But let's just kind of run through it. And we touched on a little bit. Tyson, I can't believe this. I'm looking here. Kirk Cousins is 3,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 16 picks. Like, he's on the Jameis track. If he would have finished this thing at 30-30, he wouldn't have quite reached it. But you know what I'm saying. It's been just crazy.
He might have reached
Bijan Robinson sitting at 259 carries for almost 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. So this is finally the season that people were looking for. And Terry McLaurin now over 1,000 yards. So just 2 things that stood out for me that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, and Bijan, kind of with him, you got to count in the reception yards. He was Kirk's check down blanket. It wasn't so much the same with Penix in, but there was looks there. Penix got panicked a couple times and just hit him directly out of the backfield and got him killed. That might have to change. But this is awesome. We get the number 2 pick in the draft versus the number 8 pick in the draft with something on the line here to end the season. Washington is rolling. I know they barely beat the Saints a week ago. People, they don't ask how, they just ask how many. And Washington now has 10 wins. Absolutely electric season from them. They are not quite dead in the NFC East, but they might be by the time this thing kicks. Philadelphia and Dallas get flexed to the 1 p.m. games. So that'll be something to monitor for sure. But this is really fun offense. And this is, if you've been watching college football for the last 4-ish years, this is like an all-star game.
This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited. It's on Sunday Night Football, like Tyson said, getting flexed in. So, this will be good to watch. I think it'll be a fun game. That's going to do it. I mean, we covered a ton of content. We had to front load our schedule this week, but Tyson and I will be back, I think, for the same time. It's going to be after Christmas that we normally record for picks. But there's going to be a ton of stuff going on during the holidays, right? No college basketball because holiday break, but NBA we know is kicking all the time. Christmas is taking over, and the bowl games. We just went through our bowl game stuff, but Tyson, we're going to find the rest of our NFL plays before we get to our pick show.
In the Discord app, link is in the bio. Group name, as I said, what I said: college football playoffs, college football bowls, college basketball, NBA basketball. Just fade the Suns, fade the Sixers, enjoy Brad and I's misery, and any other sport you can think of. We're playing. We want you in there. It's fun. We got a little community. It's free. There's no reason to not hop in. You can fade us in college ball, but Brad, you finally hit me with a cooler in the NFL. I can't even say anything cool on this one, but we've had an okay year.
Yeah, we'll keep it rolling. I think you hit a tiny little bit, but I finally had a good week. And so I'm excited for the recap, that's for sure, and see where we're at. But like, subscribe, and share the show. The reason why we just keep pounding this is because we got so much content coming out for you guys. Like it. If you're watching on YouTube, helps us become more discoverable, helps us out. If you're listening in podcast form, 5 stars. If you haven't, share it with a friend, share it with an enemy. Hope you all had a great Christmas if you celebrate. Hope Hanukkah has been fantastic for those who celebrate Hanukkah. Hope the holiday's been fantastic if you're hanging with your family, if you're hanging with your friends, however you celebrate. We do appreciate you guys. We get ready for our New Year's end, and we say some thank yous and all that good stuff on the way out. It's just been a fantastic year for us. And as we get ready for 2025, ready to take this thing to the next level. So we'll do our thank yous towards the end of the year and all that good stuff. But just know that we do appreciate the support. We'll talk to you guys later in the week for our picks episode. So until then, guys, peace.